Hey, the pimento rifle. Drop the gun! Oh, shit! I'm hit. I'm okay. But I'm not gonna die.
Welcome to Badges, Bullets, and Blunders, the show that tells funny cop stories from real people who live them. I'm the host, Travis Harless. Before we get started, if you'd like to support the podcast, please go check out our friends at Slick Sleeve Syndicate. It's just a t-shirt company. The link will be in the description. Today's guest is my good friend Ronnie and Ryan. Ronnie Jeffries is a retired police officer from California, and Ryan Skidmore is also a retired police officer from California. Ronnie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Return guest, but for those who didn't hear the first time, what did you do before you became a police officer? How long were you an officer, and what were some of the assignments you worked when you were a police officer?
Sure. Yeah. So before I was a police officer, spent some time in the Army, did that for 8-ish years. And I did that from 2003 to 2011, got out, never had any aspirations of being a cop, and kind of fell into this profession through a mutual friend of me and my wife's. We both applied at the same time, and oddly enough, I got hired and he didn't. Spent 13 years in the Kern County area as a police officer, and had a multitude of assignments ranging from, your regular patrol stuff where you start all the way to SWAT. Worked on our range staff. I was in community relations for a little bit in our gang unit. Had a blast doing it, and ended up as a motor, which is where I ended up getting retired out of due to a crash.
Okay. And then since you've been retired, what have you? Well, before you retired, you were doing some firearms training stuff. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So for about 5 years now, I've been running my own company called Jeffries Firearms Training because I couldn't think of anything better to call it. Been doing that. I started off just training women, and that was kind of the area that I was going to focus on just because I felt like they were neglected in the training aspect of things for firearms. And started doing that, and now I kind of open it up to everybody. I do anything from Kern County concealed weapons permits to private lessons to large classes, and then working with different law enforcement agencies around the United States, helping them out with firearm stuff.
Nice. All right, Ryan, what about you? What did you do before you were an officer? How long were you an officer, and what were some of your assignments?
Yeah. I graduated from college, got out, and I was a substitute teacher for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Then I worked for a farm company for a little bit, but then I took a ride along and I realized that's what I wanted to do. As a cop.
What about football, though?
I played football at Fresno State. Go Dogs.
Yep. Go Dogs.
Yep. So that was fun, but transitioning into figuring what you want to do was a challenge for me. But I took a ride along. I was only like 23 years old at the time, and I was like, this is what I want to do. So 2013, I went to the academy and did all the range of things. Like Ronnie just said, I kind of had a similar track as well. Patrol, gang unit, SWAT, community relations. And I was at the PAL Center for a little bit, which was fun. It's an activity. It's a youth center. And then I eventually promoted to senior. Then I eventually stepped away. I didn't get hurt or retire. I guess I just kind of froze my retirement and decided to try something different. So now I'm doing commercial real estate and enjoying it, loving life right now.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit.
Right.
About the transition from cop life to civilian life and what that's like. I'm curious myself. But last time you talked about a bunch of good stuff, but I wanted to get into when you were a SWAT operator. We had a SWAT call out, and you had to tap out for a minute to go take a break.
You're jumping right into this.
I mean,
yeah.
This is like one of my favorite things that has ever happened.
It's embarrassing, but it's what it is. It's what it is. We were at a call out, and I was holding point at this particular time. And
what does that mean?
I'm just dialed in with a rifle.
It's in the front.
In the front, yeah. And so, and we rotate normally. We rotate, after a certain amount of time. But at this time, I was there, and I was holding it, and basically, we were there for. I wasn't there. I wasn't at point for the whole 2 hours we were there.
But this is in the evening, so you'd already been to work, probably went home that night.
And then we got called back
Had dinner with the family.
Yeah. And
Interrupting your regular routine.
right.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I was having some stomach issues.
As he did on every call out or search warrant that he participated in.
Yeah, so I was telling me the other day about you would pull over before, on the way to every search warrant and throw
Every
up out of the
single
window.
one. Every single one.
Yeah, I was just getting ready, just getting the nervousness out.
Yeah.
But I would throw up before every game too. It's just what it is. It's just a weak stomach, I guess. Anyways, it's another story.
Digress.
Yeah. So I was there and I started having stomach issues, and I finally grabbed somebody. I'm like, you got to take over. I got to go. And so I told the team leader, I'm like, hey, I'll be right back. So I ran out to the command post, and we have there's a bathroom in one of the deals, and they're like,
Yeah.
it's broken. It's out.
like a big RV.
It's a big RV. Yeah. And I'm like, hey, get out of the way. Like, I'm coming in.
Yeah, they basically just tell you like, hey, you can pee in here, but nothing
That's
else.
right.
Number
yeah.
ones only.
Yeah, one only.
And I was just, and it's late at night. And I'm like, oh no. Like,
But you're like, this number 2 is basically going to be like a number 1 though.
Yeah. Same consistency.
yeah. So I saw these people across the street, a family, and
That poor
I was like, these houses particularly were a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, I'm sorry, but can I use your restroom, please? And they were like, of course you can.
Yeah.
So there was a couple of people outside. I go in there, and it's just there's a tiny little front room, and the entire family's in there.
This poor family probably just thinks you want to wash your hands or something like
Oh, dude.
that.
And I got all my stuff on, and I'm sweating.
Yeah.
And I just basically like, thank you. And I just run through the house. They're like, it's right there. And I get in there. I remember I was just with all my kit and stuff. I'm probably at least 3 bills, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm over 300 pounds. And I sat down on that thing, and that thing wiggled, and it was, anyways, I did my business.
It was like Jeff Daniels on Dumb and Dumber.
Dude, I did my business. And then the worst part about it was just walking out of there, their whole family, and the door was like right off to the living room. And I walk out of there, and I just put my head down, and I'm like, thanks, sorry. And I just walk out of there. I'm like, oh, that whole place just.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's not one of my proudest moments.
It's funny
But,
that you mentioned stuff like that. You talk about Ryan with like search warrants or SWAT callouts. Because that's like one of my fondest memories about working with Ryan, whether it was like the, I don't know, 2.5 or 3 years that we worked together in gangs, or the, I don't even know, 5, 6, 7 years it was that we were on SWAT together. When we were in gangs and we would brief a search warrant, we would purposely like over exaggerate the dangerousness of the search warrant just because we knew how it would affect Ryan.
Yeah.
So, and we would always put Ryan on point because we knew that if we put him on point and we over exaggerated how dangerous the search warrant was going to be, like we were going to get some vomit.
Yeah.
And so we would brief these search warrants at the library for anybody who's been in gangs around here knows kind of what we're talking about. We would go and, we'd talk about it and we'd say, oh yeah, hey, this guy's going to have a gun. Even though there was nothing leading us to believe this guy was going to have a gun. Maybe it was a search warrant for some narcotics or something like that, or maybe some stolen parts or something. But we would always be like, hey, this guy's going to have a gun. This guy's probably going to want to go down fighting, just because we knew how much it would get Ryan riled up. And immediately following the briefing for the search warrant, he'd be like, okay, guys, I'm gonna have to give me a second. And he would run to this trash can that was in the area that we were at, and he immediately would just vomit. And he'd take his 5 minutes or so doing his thing, and he'd be like, okay, guys, I guess I'm ready.
Yeah.
So that was like one of my favorite things, and like
It's nerves. Yeah. It
was spiritual. Yeah.
But I think that like having a guy like Ryan made my time in gangs so much better, made my time on SWAT so much more fun. Because no matter what, like whether it was like a legitimate like danger situation, like something that's like, legitimately gets people riled up and a little scared, like this guy could always lighten the mood, and it always made it fun.
Hey, is anyone else scared? This is fucking scary.
Yeah.
This is just me.
Yeah.
You'd be a terrible criminal or terrible like poker player.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
there's no like
No,
hiding how
no,
he feels
no,
about
no.
something.
Oh,
You know
100%.
right away based on his facial expressions and whether or not he throws up.
That's right. I
how he
mean,
feels.
It's like some of the best cops actually have a criminal record.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a criminal.
I
I mean,
why are you looking at me?
I'm just saying some of the best cops have a criminal record.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
How long you been on probation for?
I, I'm coming up on my 30th anniversary of being off probation.
Congratulations.
I'm looking at throwing myself some sort of party. You know,
Yeah.
it's taken a lot to get here.
What'd
And
you
I'm
get on probation for?
I was a knucklehead as a kid, and believe it or not, I thought I was really cool. And I used to hang out with some kids that were a little bit older than me, and I was pretty good at picking locks at this apartment complex. And so these guys would, talk me.
How old were you at the time?
I was 11. We're talking.
That's really young.
We're talking 96, 97.
Okay.
Back in the day, and so these kiddos would. I say kiddos, they're a little bit older than I was, but they would talk me into picking locks. And so I would do that. They would go in and do their thing and give me, a couple bucks out of it. So I'd catch, a 5 spot or something and live like a king for a day, go buy myself some candy bars or some soda down at the store. And I thought it was cool until one day I got ratted out, and that ended my my criminal enterprise, I suppose. And after getting in trouble, decided I was never going to be on that side of the law again.
So the system worked.
The system worked. Yeah, I was rehabilitated, so to speak.
Yeah, you
From your
were.
criminal ways.
Yeah.
Little sticky finger, little burglar.
Yeah, it's not my proudest moment, but it was funny because I was going through some stuff the other day. I was going through some keepsakes that my dad had, and oddly enough, he kept my arrest card.
Nice.
Sweet.
And he kept my my letter of like formal probation. It was like the letter saying, "Hey, you're on probation from this day to this day," and like what all my limitations were and all that stuff. And I just found it the other day, and it was kind of funny because I was like, not something you really think about much. Now that I'm 40, I don't think about what I did when I was 11.
Yeah.
But it was just funny, like the things that my dad decided were important to keep. But yeah. Once upon a time, I was kind of an idiot.
Nice.
Not that I'm not now, but
I was to say,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ryan, what about when you were a newer SWAT operator and you were before you were certified, you were stuck at the command post? Because the new SWAT operators don't go out and do all the active stuff. They're usually doing some kind of admiral.
We're still kitted up and everything.
Yeah,
I just don't have my helmet on, and my rifle and my helmet is like propped up at the command post. And so you pretty much, I'm like setting up the chairs and tables, and getting the force entry tools out and everything like that, breaching tools, and just kind of helping out there because I wasn't certified. And so all of the team was doing surrender call outs, and I was over there. And I remember with the captain and lieutenant and everybody else, and I remember on the radio, it came over and it was like, "Skidmore, we need to see you to the front." And I'm like, sweet, this is my chance. Like they're seeing for me, even though there was way more badass.
It's my time to shine.
I'm like, they want to see me though. They need me.
It's about time they recognize my
It's about
excellence.
time. So I was so pumped.
His palms
So I-
sweaty, knees weak.
Yeah.
There's vomit on his sweater.
Dude, I was pretty. My stomach
definitely.
was definitely girdled. dude.
Mom spaghetti.
Yeah. And so I get my helmet on, freaking rack one in the gun. I'm like, this is it. I'm going in. And so I'll be right back, guys. So I take off in there, like literally bound to the place where you guys were at.
No reason to bound. Completely
No,
safe.
This
all
guy's
the way there.
barricaded in the back bedroom. I'm still
just to show.
I'm still army crawling up there.
Yeah.
Serpentine.
Yeah.
So I get up there to the guy who calls me, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm here. What do you need?" He was like, "Give me a can." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay, here." And I gave
Not
him
a suppressor.
can. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, give me a can. Which can of chews? I'm like, "Oh yeah, here you go." And he's like, "You may go now." I'm like, "Wait, where do you want me to be?" And he's like, "Go away.
That was it.
Go back to
was
the
You served your purpose.
And then they were like, I go back, and they're like, what do
your
you
way
need?
back out of here.
Yeah.
And I just went back. They're like, what do they need? I'm like, nothing. It was
Some advice on how to handle this.
that same call.
My
You
expertise.
guys destroyed the whole house, and then you were like, all right, man. They're like, make sure you get pictures. Make sure it's documented really well. I'm like, okay, for fun.
Had no part in it. Go ahead.
Like,
You
all
got
right,
the paper.
you got the paper. Yeah, that's what everybody goes through. So that's what it is.
Part of being a new guy.
But yeah, that was embarrassing.
You should have Ryan talk about the time when he was trying to make the SWAT team, and we had him try to breach the front door. That was good.
It was just embarrassing.
It was really good though. You
Yeah,
gave
but I
it
didn't know.
your best effort.
Yeah. So basically they got it's guys on the team and they're on the apprehension team and they grab a couple of us. That guy's trying to be on SWAT, make SWAT, but this is an actual real live search warrant we're doing. And so they're like, Skids, you want to breach? And I'm like, absolutely. Like, this is my chance to show off. This is my chance to be involved. Like, this is great.
What Ryan didn't know, but everybody else knew on this particular search warrant was that the door was reinforced. So we all knew that. And our way of having some fun was like, let's tell Ryan to come try to breach it.
Yeah.
Knowing full well, because we could see through the back window, that the door was reinforced by not only metal bars, but chains.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I just swung for the fences.
You can open this door. You're on the team.
Yeah. So I swing for the fences and I remember looking at the whole wall and that whole wall was flexing. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And I was just hitting it and I kept hitting it. And then finally they're just like, all right, stop. And I'm like, okay, what do I do? They're like, just stay here. And then the team went around and they forced entry there and that was it. And I was just like, I think they forgot about me to the front too. I'm like, are you guys in there? Can I come in? Or
What was great was that, so Ryan really downplays it. Like, he had to have hit that door 25 or 30 times.
I run it.
He was at the point where he was at like muscle failure from swinging the ram so much. And he was getting so frustrated. And what was great was one of the sergeants that was there on the team, fully knowing what was going on, was messing with Ryan and acting like completely disappointed. Like, Ryan, this was your shot. Like, we needed you to come and breach this door and you couldn't even make entry. Like, how do you expect to make the SWAT team if you can't even break a door down? And then, just completely just like ruining this guy's morale. And then going around the back, breaching, coming in, and then be like, and then, after everything's said and done, he's like, oh yeah, Ryan, like the door is reinforced. Like, we knew you were going to get in there. And Ryan was just like, completely defeated by that point.
Exposed.
You did great though.
Thanks, man.
You did great.
Yeah.
Good time.
What about swallowing your chew? Did that ever happen?
Yeah, on a call out, I threw up. That's about it. We started doing some movements and just hanging out, and then in call outs, sometimes they could be extremely boring and just long.
A lot of downtime.
A lot of downtime. So I did this, and then all of a sudden, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
And so when you're forced to action, you start to run in.
Hurry up and wait. And
Hurry up. Yeah. I actually sucked this thing down on accident. And as I'm going in, just hurling all in the flower bed on the way in. It was gross.
Nice.
I haven't chewed a lot since then.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then now you're back out into the civilian world.
Dude.
What's that been like?
Dude. One thing that they have
How long you been, I guess it's not retired, but
2.5 years, 3 years now. 3, something like that. And, when cops, when they go to a restaurant or anything like that, they sit with their back, to the wall and like, okay, where are my exits and where are my signs of threats or whatever in a lot of scenario. Like, I could go to a restaurant now and just put my back to everybody and be perfectly fine. And I'm not saying it's a good thing or it's safe. I'm just saying I'm on white. What is it? White?
condition white all the time.
Yeah.
You're like, where can I get to the bathroom the fastest? Where's the snack bar?
That's all I need. Yeah. Where's the food at?
I want to be near the soft serve station.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that my stress level's definitely gone down. And when you think, like you and I've had conversations outside of this where things that you think is a problem is not really a problem.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Like things at work that come up now that people might stress over at my job.
Like your coworkers?
Yeah. Or something like to that effect, or even in life in general. It's like, well, man, we're still alive and it's been worse.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get shot at.
Nothing blew up today.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what I think about it.
Yeah.
What about you, Ronnie? How long have you been retired?
So officially retired December of last year, but I've been out of work for well over 2 years.
Okay.
with surgeries and whatnot. The transition's been, it was tough at first. Like I was really mad because I didn't want to retire. Definitely wasn't how I wanted to go out. After I came to terms with it, the transition's actually been pretty good. Like I don't have any of those. I don't think like a cop anymore, and I'm not like the guy that like lives in the past, and I don't talk about my job and like, oh, I used to do this and that. Like I think it's been great. Like I've been able to spend a lot more time with my wife and kids, and like been able to coach my kids in whatever sport they're doing that month. So it's actually been a lot of fun for me. I don't have any of the same with like Ryan, like, guys talk about, oh, I sit with my back to I don't even think I did that as a cop.
Yeah.
I was never one of those like ultra paranoid guys when I went out to go to, Black Bear Diner. It wasn't like I felt like I was on edge at Chili's.
Not a big stress case.
No, now don't get me wrong. Like I'm smart enough and I keep my wits about me, but like, I didn't feel like I needed to be like on pins and needles all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely not like that now. So I've enjoyed it. I think it's a lot of fun. Definitely a lot less stress. Yeah. I will say that, just based on like, you're not working crazy hours, and that job requires you to be at a certain level. At least it should, especially if you're on like the SWAT team or you're working like a specialized unit like gangs or something. Like you need to be at a certain level, and that comes with a certain stress level.
Yeah.
And now that I don't have that requirement, like now all that stress is kind of gone. So it's been really nice. It's definitely been a transition. Trying to find other things to fill my time. So, I do a bunch of like weird random stuff. I have hobbies, and I buy more stuff than my wife would care to admit or care for me to admit.
Can we have full-time Amazon shopper?
Yeah. So I buy the most random things. Like I buy and sell like sports cards and memorabilia and all kinds of anything that helps my kids with their sports, whatever they're doing that particular day, month, or year. And my wife will just come home to boss. She's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Oh, this is going to help, the boys with this." And she's like, whatever. Just,
right.
Stop spending so much money.
But Ryan, you work with people in the civilian sector, like in an office setting.
Mm-hmm.
So was it like going from being being an officer, but not only just an officer, but like a SWAT operator, and in that kind of like, how would you describe it? Like, sort of real dominant type A personalities,
Right.
To then going to like working in an office setting.
Yeah.
What's that adjustment like?
The one thing that
We have a fun game, by the way. That
Yeah,
we'll call
that's-
Ryan at random times. I'll FaceTime him, and then wait when he's at work, and then when he answers, if he answers and he's in the office, then we just try to yell whatever inappropriate thing we can.
yeah, so people could hear it.
I
just run out of the house.
And I'm sure they're totally good with it. Like,
Oh, shit.
all of your current coworkers probably do the same type of jokes and games, right?
Oh yeah, it's I think I've said some stuff, and they're just like looking at me like it's a joke, and they're just like,
That's not
really
funny
not
at
that
all.
funny. And I'm like, I thought it was hilarious. And
Yeah.
so that's one thing. It's, I guess, cops have a really dark sense of humor.
Mhm.
And some things that just, you guys know, on a whole other sector that basically everybody who wasn't in the military or, wasn't a cop, they don't have that dark humor. They just kind of look at you odd. So and then it's funny because I step back in and hang out with all my friends that are cops, and then I miss that. I'm like, and I have been out for several years now, and I miss that banter. And then I also like, wow, that was really dark, even though that was pretty vanilla for them, So my mind has been, I guess, retrained in that sense. So, but I miss the people. That's the most thing. I miss my friends, and I miss work with them, and then obviously the funny stories. So
you don't miss the stress, but you miss the people.
No, the job itself is absolutely. I don't want to.
You can say it.
Just say it.
It's absolutely stressful, and it's especially now here in the state, the current climate of everything. It's just like, going on the TV every day and seeing what's stuff, seeing people talk about it. People don't like cops nowadays, and it's sad. I feel bad because I think it's coming back, but I do feel bad, and I'm not trying to get into politics, but
yeah, I think I feel the same with that stuff. Is like, I don't miss the job at all. I did for a little bit, but now that I've been out for a little bit, like I don't miss it at all, but I miss the people. Like I miss the dudes. I miss the banter. I miss like the fun we would have,
The fart jokes.
the jokes, the training. Yeah, the fart jokes for sure.
Yeah.
But I miss the training, and I miss like everybody trying to make each other better. And I miss like the competition and like it, whether it was SWAT practice or it was in gangs, it was like who can get the most guns off the street, who can arrest the most, gang members, who could, and then at SWAT, who was going to be the top shooter for that day of training, who's going to do CQB the best that day, who's going to, constantly just pushing each other to make each other better, or physical fitness, who's going to go into kidney failure that day,
That happens.
Yeah.
Rhabdo, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Like just constantly pushing each other to get better, and that's the thing that I miss the most, because I felt like I was at my very best when I was around all you guys doing that stuff. And it's hard to find people like that on the outside that are constantly looking to make you better, because so many people on the outside are self-serving. They only want your help if it somehow benefits them, rather than like you're doing something selfless to benefit the other guy, and they're doing the exact same thing to you.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I miss the most. It was like just like the camaraderie and the guys, and like how well we would, work together and just constantly strive to make each other better.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything specifically you do to kind of help with the adjustment to that, the new environment?
Yeah. So what I do now is I try to stay involved as much as I can in the department. I still go and I still talk to some of the guys, you guys included. I still try to be involved in any way I can to help make cops better. I do firearms training on the outside, so I'm still actively involved in trying to make cops better, because I feel like I have knowledge and skill to give them and to help make them just 1% better or safer at work. And if I can do that, then I'll feel like I've fulfilled my purpose. So that's how I still feel like I'm in the game a little bit, is I still try to give back and be involved as much as I can. I'm still trying to come back in some capacity to help with the firearms training at the department, whether it's helping the academy or in whatever way, as long as it helps the officers. Like that's ultimately my main goal.
Mm-hmm.
There was one thing I wanted to ask you, because one thing I did enjoy was asking about your time when you served.
Uh-huh.
And there was a particular story that I loved, that I thought was awesome.
Uh-oh.
About I guess I'll let you tell it, but I guess it was the initial invasion in there, and it was a cold night. Tell us about that.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I don't know if we ever covered this. So when America invaded Iraq was in March of 2003, and when we crossed this line of departure from Kuwait and into Iraq, the information that my unit got, I think we might have talked about this in the podcast before, was that there was this large detachment of Iraqi military still existed at that time, and they had this large detachment of tanks that was coming down, that had been missed in the intelligence gathering phases of this, and that it was coming down and it was going to intercept our battalion, which was an infantry battalion. Infantry battalion is like, we don't have armor. We have, we're in Amtraks at that time, which are like light armored personnel carriers, and they have 50 calibers and Mark 19s. They don't have big guns. And so we had to stop and set up a defensive position, and everybody was partnered up. You'd have a hole that you'd like, fighting hole, and a sleeping hole that you would sleep in. You would get partnered up with someone for your hole. And the guy I was partnered up with was like super lazy, and he didn't want to dig the hole big enough for us to be able to like lay down in the hole. Yeah. He's like, I want to just make it big enough to where like, he's like, I'll lay down sideways and you lay down sideways. We'll just lay next to each other. And I was like, fuck you. We're not spooning in the hole, dude. Like we're going to, and he was like, whatever, I'm not going to dig anymore. And he just like, quit digging. And so I was like, well, I'm not spooning, because, that's gay.
He's like, I'm not digging and you're not spooning. Something's got to give.
Yeah. So I just laid down on the ground outside of the hole, like on the parapet, which is like in front of the hole. So like when you dig a fighting hole, you dig a hole, and then in front of it, you put all the dirt, and it's like the parapet, which is to stop incoming, whatever, shrapnel and gunfire. Mm-hmm. And so I just laid down on the parapet on the outside in front of the hole. It's just like not where you're supposed to be at all.
Right.
And I just passed out there to the sound of artillery. And I woke up like sometime in the middle, 2 or 3 in the morning or something, freezing my ass off. And I just, tucked away my pride and I climbed in kind of like a
You're like,
apologetic spouse, and got in with him and like, hey, like tapped him on the shoulder and he's like kind of scooted over a little bit and I just nuzzled in behind him and I was the big spoon.
yeah. You remember when I said earlier I didn't want to spoon with you? I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it.
Well, you got warm.
Yeah, I climbed in there and we spooned for the last few hours or whatever.
How old are you then?
18.
Yeah, he's old enough to consent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're past the age of consent. That's true.
I did that. I did that on a SWAT call out. It wasn't necessarily call out.
Dignitary protection.
Yeah, dignitary protection. Was it Jill Biden or Joe Biden that came in? It was one of the
Jill.
two.
Yeah, Dr. Jill came
Yeah.
in
So
Doctor.
you
say it
was-
right.
that was,
Yeah.
remember when the video went viral of the, because she was at a town north of here.
Si se puede.
Si se puede.
Yeah.
So say it with me. Si se puede. The future is ours. Thank you.
She did great.
She was trying to cater.
Not many people knew that she was bilingual. Not many people knew that. She really showed it.
She was trying to say, what's the proper way to say? Si se puede?
Si se puede.
Si se puede.
Si
And
se
she
puede.
said,
That's what she said, right?
Si se
She nailed it.
padre.
she's like,
Puede is not puede.
So she went, si se puede.
Yeah.
And there was like 12
Yeah.
people in the audience that came to see her.
It was so good. It was so good. But yeah, she came and we had to do a dignitary protection. And so myself and a handful of other operators were on top of the Padre Hotel. And it was a pretty cold night. And at this particular time, me and one of my buddies, Steven, everybody knows him. He's a large individual, built very similar to like a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Lots of chest hair.
A lot of hair.
Lots of chest hair.
Nice.
Very pale. Lots of chest hair. And so it was our rotation to come down off of watch. And like when you come down, you kind of want to rest. And so we're both trying to lay down and trying to get a little bit of rest. And it is freezing cold. And at some point, I don't know if it was me moving into him or him moving next to me. We ended up spooning each other for however long. I don't know, probably a few hours. And there's a nice little picture. I'll have to send it to you.
It's great.
You can throw that up if you want. But a nice little picture of me and Steven spooning on top of the Padre Hotel. And neither one of us are small guys. Steven's, I mean, if I'm being nice, he's 275.
Yeah.
If I'm being nice,
It's a big dude.
and I'm not exactly a small person either. So it was, close to 500 pounds of man spooning on top of the hotel.
All right.
Yeah, it happens.
Sounds like a great
Cold
time.
nights. Cold nights call for some drastic measures.
Nice.
I got one.
Or
Go ahead.
funny
Well,
stories.
I mean, I think it is. I was with Max. I was partnered up with Max on a swing shift, and we go to one of the motels in a not good part of town.
Mhm.
And it was a trespassing call. I guess somebody had gotten into this motel room and they weren't supposed to be in there. Anyways, the goal was for us to go there and just tell this person to leave. That simple. So I go and I knock on the door, no answer. So then I go to open the door and I feel like somebody's behind it and they push back. And so I push it in and I feel it like give way. And I find behind the door, there was a lady in a wheelchair and she had fallen off the wheelchair. And I'm like, oh no.
You push her over?
Yeah. Well, she was behind the door and I didn't know who it was.
So the one door you do breach,
Yeah.
you end up hurting.
So
a lady in a
no,
wheelchair.
so then I look at her, she's got no legs and she's got one arm.
Oh, I know her.
It's like Luke Skywalker?
She got apparently
Anakin Skywalker?
Yeah,
apparently she had gotten ran over by the
train.
Yes.
A train. I know,
Okay.
dude. I dealt with her.
So then
Oh.
Max grabs her arm and he's like, come on, help me. And I'm like, and I just grab her nub and I'm like, what do I do? I don't know.
Yeah, you can't handcuff it.
What are you supposed to do? And then they had the little belt thing. That was the weirdest thing. That was extremely weird.
You know, it's funny.
I don't know if that's
I dealt with that same girl at Mill Creek Park. We got called for. Are we recording?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh.
Yeah.
We'll probably cut this.
So
Yeah, okay, sorry.
We got dispatched to Mill Creek Park, and they said it was like for a person drowning. So we get there, and I want to say it was by myself at this point. Get there, and you know how like Mill Creek has that like little river, I guess, creek, I guess, if you want to call it that. It's probably, I don't know, 2-3 feet deep, whatever it is. And I see somebody splashing around, and then there's a male that's standing on one side of it. We roll up on the other side. And so I get there. He goes, "You got to help my girlfriend. You got to help my girlfriend." And I look down, and all I can see is one arm splashing. And I said, "Well, why doesn't she just swim out?" He goes, "She can't. She's only got one arm and no legs." And I'm like, I'm thrown for a loop. I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah." He's like, she needs help. She needs help. So I go down there and I try to help initially, and she just starts hitting. And I'm like, "What do you want to do? Like, I can't do anything here." And so the firefighters get there, and I'm like, "Hey guys, go be heroes, like go do your job."
Mm-hmm.
And so they get down there, and she starts beating the shit out of the firefighters. They end up pulling her out somehow. And since this probably isn't going to go on the podcast, but like they end up pulling her out, and this chick's got a fucking, just like he said, no fucking legs, one arm. Oh, she's the one who slapped the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that when we told you to go deal with her, and she slapped the fuck out of you. That was
I was new. I didn't know.
Story.
I didn't
forgot about
What
that.
about that?
Yeah,
So I'm on FTO.
it was me and Doug that did that to you.
I was on FTO.
Yeah, you're on FTO.
And it was at the bus station. It was at the KIT bus station. I believe it was, And so this lady's there, and I guess it's a 415 piece of stuff.
But we get dispatched there, and the officers who know who this lady is know exactly what she does.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime she's contacted by police, if you get within arm's reach, she's gonna slap you.
Yeah, she's swinging on you.
There's no hesitation, there's no warning.
Yeah.
It's you're getting 5 fingers in the face. And so we see it in the call sheet, and a couple of us are like, he's on FTO, we should introduce him to Stella.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, yeah. So we get there, and we kind of hype him up. We're like, "Hey Ryan, just go contact her. She's super nice. We've dealt with her before. It's no big deal. Just go up to her, talk to her, let her know that we have to arrest her, and she's gonna have to come with us, and it shouldn't be a big deal." And then he went and contacted her.
They were all back, and I was like, "Excuse me, ma'am," like, going through my whole fresh out of the academy, like, "Hello," and she's a bigger lady, a heavier lady, and so she, I was like, "Hello, can I talk to you for a second? What's going on?" And she just starts coming towards me, and all of a sudden, like, didn't say anything. She just walks right up to me, and I'm like, "Whoa!" I just take one step back, but she just rushes me, and she just swings on me, and I was like, "Whoa!" So I like grab her, and basically, like, I just grab her arms, and she pretty much just sits down, falls down, and she had a skirt on. I remember this, and she was sitting down, and there was traffic on a main road, and her legs were spread out, and I was just like, and I was holding her hands, and I'm like, looking at them like, "What do I do?" And they're like, "Put her in cuffs, cover her up. What do you think?" And I'm like, "Oh no, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what just happened?" I'm like, "What the?"
It was so good. It was like,
So she didn't hit you?
No, like I blocked it, but I was like, but she hit me, but it was like super slow motion, and I'm like, "What is going on?"
It was so good because of like the best was his reaction to it was like he just looked like he was in shock.
Like, why would she do this?
Like, why would somebody do this to me? And if anybody who knows Ryan,
I thought we were getting along, Stella.
yeah, anybody who knows Ryan knows
Nice
that Ryan's
story.
like a really nice guy. He's like very non-confrontational, and so like when somebody does do something to him like that, he's like, "Why would you do that?"
Yeah,
And then he has that same look on his
When
face.
someone
And-
slaps a drink out of his hand, or
who would do that? Like,
Dude.
somebody who he trusts, maybe more than anybody in the department, would violate that trust.
That was the stupidest game.
Maybe the funniest.
Ever.
That might have
That
been
was the dumbest game ever. That pissed me off so bad.
that may have been the funniest
So-
moment I've ever been witnessed on the SWAT team.
Well, in practice, everybody's got one of these.
Everybody.
And there was this game, I got to tell her, this is a game that basically, if you get in the circle, I guess, basically they would just hit
Personal
it at
space.
Personal space, they'd hit it out your
if you
hand.
get it too far away,
If you
from
left it, if you brought your drink out of your personal space, which is, you basically have to be T-Rex armed the whole time, because if it leaves that area, it's fair game.
it's the bill of a hat.
Yeah,
It's the
okay.
curtilage.
Yeah.
And so I was standing there, and you had approached me, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up, Trav?" Like, we're going to hang out and have a conversation.
Yeah.
And the entire team was there, and everybody sees it. And I don't even know, I saw him load up.
Oh,
You like
so
load
good.
up and then go bang, and hit it, and it goes
I think
50.
I asked you what flavor it was or something.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh,
what
and I said, I might have said like, oh, do you want to try it?
Yeah,
And
I
I
think you
like
do.
put it out like that.
Well, and here's the best part is so not only does Travis uppercut this thing into oblivion,
Yeah.
but like the best part was that the history here between these two is like, so
But you have
Tra-
to also say that you don't want that.
yeah, Travis was Ryan's RTO, and then like a mentor to him like his whole career basically.
Mhm.
Probably somebody you trusted about as much as anybody else.
That one hurt.
Thinking that like there's no way Travis would do this to me. And then as soon as Travis asked you what flavor it was, that thing, I mean,
And it was all over my face.
Mike
and everything.
Tyson
It was-
uppercut
yeah.
that thing.
Stratosphere.
That may have been one of the funniest things I've witnessed.
And I had a new one for him too. I offered. He wouldn't even take
I don't know
it.
why he didn't want
He's
it.
like-
Yeah. You
I was
offered
just like,
it.
I don't want
It
to.
was like
right
he was
now.
out the drink because I had one.
Yeah.
I was like, here, you can have this one.
I wasn't
I don't
even
even
mad.
want it. Yeah.
It wasn't that I was mad. I was just disappointed. It was disappointment. I was like, you of all people,
That makes
you
it
of all
funnier.
people, you
Yeah.
of all people should
Yeah.
not have done this to me.
Out of
I
everybody.
expect you to do that, and that guy, those guys, but not you to do
Yeah.
this to me.
That was the best. That was,
Yeah, and I tried to give you a new one. You didn't even want it.
yeah. That was maybe one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Just because of like how it almost looked like you were hurt.
It was.
You know, you were hurt. Like it wasn't that like you were mad. It was like
Single
I'm
tear just
disappointed and
rolls
I'm
down.
hurt that dad would do that to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sucks. Anyways,
Sorry, Ryan.
But it was hilarious. The rest of us loved it.
yeah, you did.
4 years later, he finally apologized.
Yeah.
Oh no, that had been what 6, 7 years
It was a
ago.
while
Yeah,
ago.
a long time
It was a long time
Yeah.
ago. Yeah, it was a good.
That's funny.
Where was that at?
East Hills Mall.
That's right. It was East Hills Mall. In the,
My hair Scott Chucks.
yeah, that's right. We were doing the vehicle. We were doing the vehicle
You brought
takeover
it back
stuff,
and
right?
it's making me mad.
Yeah, I remember that. You know who else did it? Remember when during the riots, whenever
Mhm.
when Mason did it to Matt?
Yeah,
That was good under the awning and
yeah.
the
It was a
can-
sandwich,
That's right.
and and part of the sandwich got wedged in the
that like the little metal part of the
Yeah.
awning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt was not
I
happy.
think I was with you. This is really cool. So we used to do SWAT training in an old theater.
Mhm.
Oh,
and when you're trying out or you're a new guy, you're basically to play the bad guy. And it's actually one of the freaking coolest things to do
that's fun.
because you dress up and like the SWAT team's after you. And I would be just hiding, so nervous, like I can hear them coming. They're coming. Here they go.
Yeah.
It was so fun because we had these, what are they called? The
Simunitions.
sim guns, yeah. And so you guys would load us up with these sim guns, and we'd have like all these, all the ammo, and then it's like, all right, like they're gonna go find you. And so I think it was me and you,
Yeah.
and we went upstairs to the last room. It was a projection room. There was boxes
yeah.
and stuff. There was boxes and stuff all in there,
Yep.
and I could hear you guys bound, and I could see you coming. And they're like, you guys are playing the whole scenario. You guys are like, hey, put the gun down. And I'm like, fuck you. You get to
Yeah.
play into it. And basically, it was just like we just doing this ammo dump on them, and like, there's nowhere to go. Like we are stuck. You guys are coming. We're almost out of ammo. Like we're screwed. And so finally, like I get hit, and so I go down, and I'm like playing dead, and they're like, don't move. And they're giving me commands, and I'm like, okay. And I see the gun. It's like right by my face, right there. And so they're like, don't do it. And I'm just like slowly reaching for it. And they're like, don't you do it. Don't do it. And I'm like slowly reaching
I'm
for
gonna
it.
do
And
it.
when I grab it, dude, just all 20 of those
I wanna
dudes
say-
just unloaded on me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. And they just
You're still
kept
talking.
It's like, just sitting there taking it.
I think I was laying right next to you because I'd been shot right next to you. That was fun. I think that's one of the reasons why we ended up becoming so close. Is like
Yeah.
we tried out for SWAT
Yeah.
at the same time. We ended up getting picked up by the SWAT team about
Yeah.
the same time. We went to SWAT school together and we were in gangs together. So, and community
Yeah.
relations. Jeez.
Yeah.
So yeah, we kind of stuck together for quite some time. You were mean to me though for a while, and
that was
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
You were-
So I-
Ryan was mean. Yeah.
Ryan was super mean.
Oh,
to me.
yeah.
Didn't want to talk to me for a while.
No,
So.
we were partnered up. We were driving to another city.
Cal City.
And
We're
I'm
going-
driving. He's in passenger, and he's just not talking. And I'm like, "So what kind of music do you want us to do?" And I turn it on, and he just goes, "Click," and he's like, "We're not listening to music." And I was like, "Okay." We didn't say a word to each other for 2 hours straight. I'm like, "Man, that sucked," but now we're great.
Yeah.
That was fun.
We had worked a lot. And I was just like mad at everything.
Yeah.
I was so mad because we were working like 18-hour days. I think we'd work like 2 months straight, like no days off. And I was just mad at everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And which is why it ended up people calling me like Angry Ronnie and putting that little anger dude from the movie.
It just
on
made
my
you more
desk.
mad.
Yeah, I think it just made it worse. And then
Yeah.
I think I took it out on you that day. That was like
it's
where it all culminated. But now we're like really good friends.
Oh yeah, for sure. When we were working, it was like every day, all day. And I was just like going to the bosses and be like I have a Sunday off. And they're like, we're all working tomorrow. And like, they're like, who wants to work? And they would just put our name up there.
Yeah, they'd ask us who wants to work with our names already on the list.
Like, hey, sir, and I have tomorrow off. And he's like, was it your day to work? And I'm like, no, it's actually my day off, but can I, for what?
Yeah. And why do you want the day off?
Because I want to go home.
Yeah.
I'm actually tired of doing this. Like,
I remember coming in when I was a gang unit officer, and same thing. The overtime list would be up on the board, and like my 3 days off, my name would be on all 3 days. No one asked me. It's just on there. I'm like, hey, I can't work on that like Tuesday or whatever. It's like I have whatever going on. I'm like, oh, so you're just gonna take a day off? And I'm like, take a day off? Like,
it's my day off.
Don't show up to work on one of my scheduled days off. Does that count as taking the day off? Like,
yes.
Yeah,
it was rough.
And that was
intense times.
Well, that was a thing where when I got older, and I was never rude about it, but there were certain bosses that were different, where, they had to staff the sheet for the city, and people are off, somebody's sick, and they're like, sergeants are scrambling to get people, and I'm like, and they're like, kind of me, I'm like, that's a you problem. That's not my problem. Like I'm going home.
Yeah.
I don't want to work.
Mm.
And, I felt like some of those guys would be angry about it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to be here anymore.
It was great because people would we used to get people mad. Do you remember like when we had Dean as an SP and an SU? So like Dean is one of those guys that like everybody knows Dean, like he gets pretty fired up. And so we would purposely say things to get him like really fired up because he hated like working on all his days off. And so we would just come in the office and be like, hey, Dean. And he was our senior officer down in gangs for a little bit. We'd be like, hey, Dean, the boss just said, hey, everybody's working on all their days off. And he would immediately, son of a bitch, like, why are we doing this? This is so stupid. I'm like, I just don't. And mind you, like none of the bosses said any of this. No. And then he would immediately storm off into the boss's office and just like start like raising hell. Like, why are we doing this? And they're like, what are you talking about, Dean? God damn it, Ronnie. One of the other things before I go too far, I have to thank you guys for putting this podcast on and let me be on the episode that I was on already, because I've had calls from people that, we talked about some stories about some fun jokes that I had played on some guys while in the gang unit, and they called me and they were like, it was you motherfucker. I'd never told any of those stories, or I never like said that it was me. And I got a couple calls from guys that were like, I fucking knew it. Like, and now there's proof out there. So
Chief figured out who took his gun apart.
Yeah. Chief Ryan with the workup and all that stuff. That was fun.
Well, you mentioned Dean, and I was with Dean one night. We were all together, and I don't know, it was a little clip we were watching on the internet, and it was of Austin Powers. You know how he does the judo chop?
Yeah.
And they just fall over.
Mm-hmm.
Judo chop, and they fall. It was like, okay. And I'm like, that's so stupid. Like, why would they? It's obviously funny. It's a joke, but that's not even it's not even a real thing. It's just funny. And Dean's like, it's an absolutely real thing. And I'm like, no, you can't judo chop somebody and they just fall over. Mm-hmm. And he literally I didn't even see it. And he hits me, man, really, really hard. And I don't know what it did, but I fell to my knees.
That's you with the Judy chop.
It just went, dude, I swear my mind, it went black for a second. And I came to real quick, but I'm like, what was that? He's like, there's a giant nerve right here through your neck. And if you hit it right and hit it hard enough, and I'm like, did you just judo chop the shit out of me, dude? I'm like, I'm lightheaded right now. That was pretty gnarly, dude. I gotta try that.
Why do people always do stuff like that to you?
I don't know, man.
I
didn't even ask for it either. He just, I said it's not a real thing.
I mean, I don't know
Wait, hold on.
who would ask for it.
I don't think I feel like you were kind of asking
He
for
was
it.
kinda-
You
Yeah,
said,
okay.
this doesn't work. This could never happen to a
Yeah.
person who's like knows about that kind of stuff. It's
Right.
like, oh, I can show
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
gonna
mind you,
learn.
Dean's a defensive tactics instructor, and like that's his thing.
Use of force expert.
I've
Yeah.
been judo chopped. Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
knew he was a judo chop expert?
Yeah.
Add
Yeah.
that to the list.
Set yourself up on that.
I had
Yeah.
I had like numbness in the left side of my body.
Looking at his throat.
A little stroke.
momentary paralysis.
I'm like, what just
You
happened?
know?
Might have shit myself. I don't know.
Here's an ED, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Blame that on the judo chop.
Oh, well,
Yeah, it was fun. All right. Well, Ronnie, how can people find you if they're interested in some firearms training? Where can people find you?
So I do most of my stuff through Instagram. My Instagram handle is JFT_actual. And I do a multitude of things. Like I mentioned before, I do Kern County concealed weapons permits if people are interested in that. If you have questions about how to go about obtaining it and the process, feel free to hit me up. You can message me or just hit me up on any part of my social media there and ask about it. Like I said, I do private lessons. I do group classes. I do events for like companies. Matter of fact, I have this upcoming week, I have a private class for a local gym. They're doing like an employee appreciation thing, and I'm going to take their company out there and we're going to do some shooting.
Nice.
But yeah, Instagram is the best place to hit me up. And if you have any questions about firearms training, or how to go about getting a concealed weapons permit or anything, under the sun when it comes to firearms, you can hit me up there.
We'll link that in the description too.
And you do kids classes too, right?
I do kids classes. Sorry, I didn't mention that. It's good. Good call. I do kids classes. As far as I know, I'm the only person around here that does kids classes with firearms. I think that most people are probably just too.
Nobody wants to touch that.
Yeah, they're too worried about like the liability and stuff. And I feel like that my instruction method is good enough to where like I don't ever feel like anybody's in any
Unsafe.
danger. It's one instructor to one student at all times when they're shooting. And every kids class I've had has been really successful, and the kids have had a blast. And
That's awesome.
So yeah, kids classes as well. And if you're interested in any of that stuff, again, hit me up on Instagram.
Nice. Yeah, this is kind of, sorry, just reminded me, it's kind of a sidetrack because I was a range master at the time when you went to the police academy.
Yeah, you do.
And you weren't really a pistol shooter ever before, right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So like you came in and you were good in the academy, you shot really well. But it's just funny to see the arc of, because like, I was a range master, so I was a decent enough shooter at that time and kind of fallen off a little bit. And then to see you come up to the ranks and kind of blow past everybody now.
Surpass the master.
Yeah. But there was this funny story. So on our qualification course,
exactly where you're going with
it's scored out of 100 points, and you have to score an 80 or better to pass. And you shoot 10 rounds, so you can just get a maximum of 10 points per round you fire, and then you subtract time penalties if they go over a lot of time period or whatever.
That's my favorite story.
And so Ronnie had shot the first 3 stages. You fire a total of 8 rounds, and he had no time penalties, and all of his shots were inside the 10 ring. So he had 80 points at that point. In the last stage, you shoot from 60 feet. You got 3.5 seconds to do it. You fire 2 rounds, and if you get 2 rounds inside of the 10 ring, then that's a perfect
You get
score.
perfect score. Yeah.
So he was on schedule in the academy to shoot a perfect score. And nobody had ever done that at the academy level. And we're like, oh, wow, he was shooting really well. And I looked over at the other instructor, Kevin, and I said, don't say anything to him, but he's on track to shoot 100. And he had been shooting really well. Like he had been shooting well at 60, at the 60 foot, which is the farthest distance we shoot from for that course. Like all week or whatever, he'd been hitting his inside the 10 ring and doing it in time that hold like regularly. So I thought there's a really good chance Ronnie's about to, this trainee, this recruit in the academy is about to shoot 100. So I tell Kevin, I'm like, hey, look, but you don't want to say anything to him. You don't want to talk to your pitcher in the middle of a no hitter,
Yeah.
So we go back and, and so anyways, what you're supposed to do is come from the holster, fire 2 rounds under 3.5 seconds. And if you get 2 hits,
In the 10 ring.
in the 10 ring, then he'll have a perfect score. So Ronnie comes up, and I don't know, I guess maybe you must have heard us talking about it or whatever. So he's got a perfect score up to this point, and he's been shooting great from 60 feet this whole time. And he comes out of the holster and he shoots, he misses one entirely. He misses the fucking target. He barely hits, like grazes it with the other one. So he gets which is a -4. It's for that shot, a -10 for the miss. And he did it in like 4 seconds. So he got like you lost like 2 points on time. So he went from almost getting 100 to getting an 84.
Yeah.
Barely passing.
Now what
He passed.
he's not telling you is that he says, I may have heard it. So as he's talking to Kevin, he's saying it loud enough to where everybody in the academy can hear it that's there. And so I'm standing there at 60 feet. And like one of the things that I would do is I would try to like block out everything, like when I was shooting, because it was the only way I could stay focused. And I still do it to this day, to where like I don't look at my target. I don't even think about what my score is. And so I got back to 60 feet. I was calm, wasn't thinking about any of that. And then I hear Travis go, no, shut up, Kevin. Ronnie's got 80 already. He's perfect. Don't talk to the pitcher when he's throwing a no hitter. And immediately I just lose my, because then I look at my target and I'm like, oh crap. And then everything just goes off in my head. And as soon as anybody who's shot under a shot timer knows that the stress that can induce, as soon as that shot timer goes off, like I forget everything about pistol shooting. My first shot, I think I threw my first shot.
He's like Skidmore having to poop at a SWAT.
Yeah, my second shot barely hits the D zone with a 2 points of time penalty, and I end up I go from shooting an 80 at 10 yards to going back to 20 yards, and I get 4 more points out of a 20 possible. After like you said, I was shooting pretty good up to that point at 60 feet. Like I wasn't. I rarely ever threw rounds, and then he got in my head, and it just completely threw me off.
There's an element of that to shooting that people don't think about. So, sorry, kind of getting sidetracked again. When people test for our SWAT team, and the very first thing you have to do when you come out for test day is you have to shoot the qualification course, and you have to get a passing score of 80 or better. Yeah, cold. So you basically the first thing you do is show up. You don't do any warming up or practice.
It's 6 a.m.
Well, it's 6 a.m. They say cold, and that's like a double meaning. Like not only cold in the aspect that there's no warm up with the pistol, but we usually do tryouts in December at 5 a.m. So not only are you cold because you haven't warmed up with a pistol, but you're also cold because it's 5 a.m. in December. Yeah. And your hands are like cold. So it really is a good test of just overall skill.
But one of the things that people always comment on of why it's so stressful is because the whole SWAT team's there. And each shooter is shooting like by themselves individually, and the whole team is just standing there behind you watching. And they're like, oh, it's so stressful because all these guys are watching me. And I always say, it's like, but wait until you make the team, right? Because they're watching you. But they all have their mouth. Nobody's saying anything. It's just silent.
It's so true.
Like they'll whisper to each other, but you can't hear what they're saying, if they're talking. And nobody talks at all.
Right.
Well, what happens when you get on the team? Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah. So once you get on the team, it's a completely different animal. So once you're on the team, guys are behind you. They're heckling you.
Yeah. I can't do anything good.
Yeah. There is absolutely no constructive criticism. It's just criticism. And it's before you shoot, while you're shooting, after you shoot. You could shoot a perfect score and they'll find some way to like just chop you down and make you feel stupid and small.
You look stupid when you did it.
Yeah. You get a dumb look on your face. Like, why would you shoot with that look on your face? Yeah, you shot 100, but nobody cares because you look stupid and you look fat.
And you're fat.
Yeah. Or Steve. They just talk about his mom. But again, I think that goes back to like it makes you better. Like
it does make you better
because you're constantly under the pressure of like, if I screw this up, I got 30 guys behind me that are gonna let me know how stupid I am for messing up. So you never want to mess up. So you're always trying to bring your A game to whether it's shooting, CQB, lifting weights, or whatever it is that you're doing. Like you're trying to bring your A game because you're like, I'm not so concerned with like just like performing well. I'm more concerned with if I underperform, these guys are going to tell me how stupid I am, until somebody else screws up, because you're the run, you're the run of the joke until somebody else screws up. And thankfully, here's a good one. Like when I tried out for SWAT, me and Ryan tried out at the same time. So when we went to qualify, I was already thinking strategically because I'm like, everybody knew Ryan Skidmore. Like everybody knows Ryan. Everybody's always known Ryan. He's the big goofy guy.
Wait
right?
a second.
So we go try out and it's 5 a.m. It's December. It's cold. We haven't warmed up. And at this point, like I'm a pretty good shooter. I think I would average like mid to high 90s for my qual. And you got to go shoot a cold 80, right? And so I see Ryan at the tryout and I said, hey, Ryan, are you going to be in the first iteration or the second? Because, we'd always have 20 to 30 tryout people trying out. And so, you do it in groups of 10 or 12. And he goes, well, I'm going to be in the first iteration. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be in the first iteration too. And I'm going to be right next to Ryan. Thinking to myself, if I'm close to Ryan, they're going to spend all their time messing with him.
Yeah,
and I'm going to get left alone.
because we were friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was because we were friends.
Yeah, he's going to draw fire for you.
Yeah. You were 100% like Ryan. It was Operation Human Shield.
Yeah.
Like, and so Ryan was right next to me. I think I was the second shooter and Ryan was like the third shooter. And so guys would kind of like, oh, come on, Ronnie, like very little though. But as soon as Ryan was up, oh my gosh, it was like it felt like a marching band was behind us with like how much like talking and noise was going on. Because they're like, come on, Ryan, you better not mess this up. So it was great because I was able to use him as a diversion. So I didn't get messed with. But the nerves and the pressure that like I said, I was a mid to high 90s shooter. And when I tried out, I think I shot like an 86 or an 87. It's tough.
It's when they don't make fun of you. That's the bad thing.
Then they don't like you.
And they don't like you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're getting, if they're talking shit to you, it means they like you. So that's their measure.
Everyone really liked you.
Yeah. So much. They liked you so much.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
But that's 100% true. Cause every tryout you'd have those guys where like, the guy would come up to shoot and like nobody would say a word. Cause it was just like, man, whatever. This guy's going to fail. Or we want him to fail.
But we have to stay quiet during the tryout. But then, when you pass and you make it and then you go up there, it's like, now, no one's staying quiet.
No.
Yeah, you're going to hear about it.
But I think that's
before, during, after,
I think that's what makes our SWAT team as good as we are. I've had the fortune to be able to go train with a lot of different teams and units and stuff like that. And when it comes to shooting, I would put our team against any team I've ever worked with, as far as if you just go toe to toe, just straight firearms ability and skill with shooting. Like I have not worked with another team that collectively could shoot as well as we.
So we went together to the school and it was crazy because they did this competition where the two guys shooting their pistols and this whole running and shooting deal. And there's probably 60 dudes in this class.
Yeah, probably about 60.
And it was crazy because they were like, the guys to me were like, oh, Ronnie was the best shooter. And I was in the top 5 out of the 60 guys. And I was telling the instructor, he's like, man, you guys know how to shoot. I'm like, dude, I'm like average pack for the, you know what I mean? For my guys. I'm like, dude, there's guys that are legit shooters. And I didn't realize and we destroyed all those guys out there. And it was just crazy because like I said, when I came back here, I was average, but when you go out there, you realize how high the standards are, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's neat to see because you don't really see it when we work together. Cause again, we just talk shit to each other and we just kind of constantly belittle each other while still shooting well, like everybody shoots well. And then if you screw up, like you better be the first one to talk shit about yourself because somebody else is going to nail it. But when we go shoot, we just do our thing and that's it. SWAT practice and you have fun and you go about do your 9 to 5 and then go home and do it again the next day. But when you go train with other people is when you realize like how high our standards are. So you realize a couple things: how high our standards are, like how good we are as a team, how well we gel together, but just how different our humor is from other teams. Probably can't get into how some of the aspects of our humor, because it would raise some red flags.
We just sit around and talk about chicks all day.
Yeah, that's what it is. But it's funny because like we've done, and I think you've been a part of that, where we've had either other teams come around with us and train with us, or we've gone and trained with other units and teams, and we stay the same with our humor and our jokes and stuff like that, and you get looked at sideways by these other teams because they're like, yeah, we don't talk like that with each other. Like that's not how we operate. And
like, do those guys not like each other? Like, no, like they're actually best friends.
Yeah, those guys love each other. They would die for each other. They will never tell one another that they're good.
Never. Never do a compliment.
No. But I think that's what makes these guys awesome. And I'm sure it's just as good, if not better, than it was when we were there. Yeah.
What about I guess you don't have anything you want to you don't want to plug. How do you don't want to talk about how people want to buy a
commercial real estate?
Yeah. Let's talk about.
We're going to get a nail salon.
Look, I'm looking for a 40 by 20 shop. I need it. I need plumbing.
That's fine. That's fine. Well, I guess thanks, Ronnie, for coming out and talking to us again.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank
coming
you.
out and talking
Thanks
to
for having
again.
us.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah. This is an awesome podcast. I hope
That's
I can, if you guys change up the format or you guys want to do more, like I love it. So
Yeah, we'll
this
bring
is
you
fun.
back again for sure.
This is a blast.
Sweet.
Thanks everyone for listening, and stay frosty.